hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase again.
Caught you talking.
That's all right. That's all right. Because I mean, we do talk.
Absolutely.
You know, we sit here and have a whole conversation before we come on. So welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach with Valerie and the
Cookie Man.
Yeah, I love having my cookie man here.
I'm peeking at some scores, so my wife was already worried about, you're going to be distracted. Maybe a little bit.
He might be a little bit.
I might look over like
that.
that.
He's got his phone over to the side with the game scores on. I don't know who all's playing. I don't even get into all that. That's his thing. But, you know, I'll give him a pass this time. First of all, I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. If you can hear me, just comment yes, that you can hear me.
Why can't they
wave?
Why can't they wave?
Babe, we can't see them.
I know, I'm just kidding.
So if you can hear me, please say something, because I need to know if you can hear me, because I did something different with the mic. I had a mic, then I took it out, and I tested the mic that I had plugged in, but then when I unplugged it, yes, you can hear me. Wunderbar, wunderbar. Hey, Liz, and anybody else who's watching, thank you for tuning in on this evening. And as usual, I want this to be as interactive as it possibly can be. Okay, we're going to have to keep it really, really interactive. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. So what we talking about tonight, baby cakes?
Boundaries in a relationship. Now, you said we can't see, we can't. I can see myself waving. I'm going to say, wait a minute, how come I can see myself waving and we can't?
Yo, I promise you, he did not go to school on the short bus, okay? I promise you.
No,
he's having a moment.
Play it around.
Yeah, so what are we talking about tonight?
Boundaries.
Yeah, we're going to talk about boundaries. And, you know, boundaries, from my perspective, is something that's needed in every one of our relationships, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a family relationship, certainly in work relationships, and absolutely in intimate romantic relationships. And that's what we're going to be focusing on mostly this evening, talking about boundaries in committed relationships and within marriages. And sometimes, Cookie Man, I see you looking at that phone. Did you lose it?
No, I'm just keeping it alive.
Okay,
I was trying to go to sleep on me.
So sometimes that's a difficult conversation to have, talking about boundaries. So I'm going to ask the Cookie Man why he thinks that is. And I'm going to ask you guys, why do you think having a conversation with your partner about boundaries might be one of those hard conversations to have? Why do you think, babe?
Well, I guess the best way to answer that is because something that I think is okay, if we have the discussion about boundaries and I'm going to find out that you feel it's not okay, you know, I might find that hard to have that conversation with because it's something I like, maybe not something I like, but the fact that it's best for the relationship, sometimes it's hard to have those kind of conversations to find out what's best for the relationship, and can you handle that?
Can you handle it?
You know, you might come into a relationship doing things that you've been doing all along, and now you have to alter that. That's why you have those conversations.
Yeah, and sometimes they can be hard and challenging, especially when the other partner is resistant, or as we're going to talk about later, when you have difficulty. Okay. Well, I don't know. Jackie sent me a text. I don't know what that means. 613, whatever that says. Oh, I got it. I got it now, Jack. I know what you were saying. Sorry about that. Oh gosh, what was I saying?
I don't know.
See, because you're looking at that phone and you're not paying attention to me.
I was. My son is keeping me updated too. I'm going to be focusing more because it's one of our teams is going to lose, so it's over.
Okay. All right. So, anywho, good evening. Hey, Nicole. So, again, I want to ask you guys, why do you think having a conversation about boundaries might be difficult? And is it difficult for you? And I'm wondering if you've had those types of conversations with your significant other. And if so, what was that like? So I always like to start out to make sure.
If I can say, a lot of times we don't have those conversations until something comes up.
Exactly right. And I was going to talk about that at some point. But yeah, that's when we usually have those conversations, when something occurs or when we are feeling a certain something or thinking a certain something. And that's why it's good to be in touch with your own emotions and what's going on within the context of your relationship. So what is a boundary? What are boundaries anyway? So just to put it simply, boundaries, they are basic guidelines you set to establish how you would like others to treat you. They define what behaviors you are willing or not willing to accept, and they determine how you respond when someone crosses that boundary. Having healthy boundaries is foundational for positive and respectful relationships. Lenora, hey Lenora, thank you for watching. Lenora said it might be fear of upsetting the other person. Absolutely. Yeah. And we very often, when we approach our partner to have a conversation, we sometimes have a preconceived notion of how our partner may respond to whatever it is we're going to say. And that can influence whether or not we actually move forward with the conversation. Because, you know, that's happened with us sometimes. And I can, you'll start and things, oh, never mind. I said, no, babe, go ahead. Just say what it is. However I'm going to react, allow me to process it and have whatever response I'm going to have, and vice versa. You said the same thing to me sometimes. Hey, sis. Okay, she's using her phone. That's okay. You're still there. That's all that matters. There is an author, Nedra Glover Tawwab, and she has a book entitled Set Boundaries. It's a workbook. And in that, she states, this is how she defines boundaries. Boundaries are ways to communicate our needs to others via words and actions. They are perimeters that we establish with ourselves and others. Therefore, boundaries are not about telling other people what to do, but are also about us holding ourselves accountable. Boundaries are expectations and needs that help you feel safe and comfortable in your relationship. This is important. Learning when to say yes and when to say no is also an essential part of feeling comfortable when you're interacting with others.
So what you're saying, it's not just about setting limits for your partner, but also ourselves, making ourselves accountable for our behavior.
Exactly. Because not only, it's not, when it comes to boundaries, see, we think it's just about the other person, what we will allow, what we won't allow, what we will accept, what we won't accept. But it's also about ourselves and how we, and the ways in which we hold ourselves accountable. Keeping our own selves in check, because it's not just about you, it's also about me. I have to take into account things that the boundaries I'm going to set for myself, that I won't step. I decide I'm holding myself accountable for not stepping beyond a boundary that I set for myself. And let's say it could be, let's say when you're single and you're hanging out, you and your girls, y'all hanging out every other weekend, going away once a month, and then you get married.
Okay.
Now your partner may not specifically say, hey, babe, you know, I would appreciate if you didn't hang out every weekend, but you may decide for yourselves as a being responsible and respectful within the context of your marriage. That's a boundary you can set for yourself. I ain't going out here hanging out with these women every weekend. First of all, some of them probably ain't got no man, but I have to protect the sanctity of my own relationship. So that's a boundary I'm going to set for myself, on myself.
But if a person doesn't do that, now it's incumbent upon the person that is bothering to speak on it.
Absolutely. If it bothers them.
Right, if it bothers.
Because it's all about what works for the two individuals in that relationship. Every relationship is different. You know, some things that we may find unacceptable, another couple may be okay with it, and vice versa. Some things we are that are okay for us may not be acceptable for some other couple. That's why it's important to have ongoing conversations with your partner. You got to be self-aware.
Excuse me.
in terms of what you want and what you don't want. And we'll talk about some more about that in a few minutes. Some of you may be familiar with Brene Brown. I first became aware of her when she was on Oprah many, many years ago. And she said that daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. Wow, I love that. Because when we set a boundary, the other person, a lot of times they gonna like it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a change from
in their behaviors,
what was happening before. You might get pushback.
You always get pushback.
Yeah.
More times than not.
More times than not, you're gonna get pushback. Probably 90% of the time when you set a boundary with someone.
That's why you got to keep talking, because you're going to get, depending what you're setting that boundary on and whatever behavior you're expecting to change, is natural to get some kind of pushback. Now, are you willing to continue to have the conversation, to say what you want, how you need it done?
Yes. Showing, Victoria says, showing respect when you don't fully understand the boundaries. Yes, you still got to show respect. And that's another conversation I think that couples should have, because what might be disrespect to you, I may not consider it to be disrespectful, but you've got to communicate that to me, especially if I do something and I don't think it's disrespectful. But that's great, Victoria, that we are responsible for maintaining that respect level within the context of our marriage.
We got to get past that saying that happens a lot. Well, you should have known.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. And I know hate is a strong word. So if some of y'all don't like the word hate, I'm apologizing in advance. But I strongly don't like that statement that you should know. We have been together now for 43 years, married for 42 years, but I still don't expect Frank that he should know certain things. I feel it is my responsibility to communicate that to him. Now, do I know certain things about him? Absolutely. Does he know certain things about me? Yes, indeed. But I don't expect that that's something he should know. I feel that I am responsible for telling you what I like, what I don't like, what my needs are. If there's something that has occurred, why are you looking like that? You got that funny look on your face.
Because I was waiting for you to finish saying and reminding the brother, because he might forget the stuff you like or don't like. So you have to be reminded sometime.
Yes, quite frequently. If your husband happens to be named Frank Bernard Chase Jr.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
You got to do some frequent reminding, but still make the reminders. Dr. Henry Cloud has a book entitled Boundaries in Marriage, and there are certain things that he says each partner is responsible for. And he says that each partner is responsible for their feelings, their attitudes, their behaviors, their choices, their limits, their desires, their thoughts, their values, and their love. So each of us is responsible for that. He cannot be responsible for my choices. He cannot be responsible for my behaviors. I'm responsible for that. And that's where that accountability piece comes in, and it's so very important. So what do you think about that, babe?
Well, all of those, I would agree. That's like any other situation when you're dealing with people. You can't control someone else. They have to be in control of their own self.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Okay. Because at the end of the day, it's like this. First of all, I'm a Christian. I'm a child of God. And God created us with free will. Okay? And I think that's the best thing and the worst thing that he did in creating us. It's great because we get to make our own choices. We get to do our own thing. We get to make our own decisions because we got what? Free will. But very often we make the wrong choices. We make bad decisions. We choose the wrong individual. We end up in horrible situations. Why? Because we got free will. So it's the best thing and the worst thing, one of the best things and one of the worst things from my perspective. that God did when he created us. Because yes, it's great that we have this autonomy and we can do our own thing, but at the same time, we have the ability to get ourselves in some horrible and horrendous situations and make choices that we end up regretting in the long run. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, babe?
I can't actually. There's nothing more I can add to that. Mm-hmm. I agree. Like I said, it's always difficult when you have to face those things.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? What? Why are you laughing at? What I do?
We'll talk about it later. That is an off-camera conversation. Okay? Because we tell some of our business, but we don't tell all y'all everything. Okay? We gotta hold something back. So that is an off-the-camera conversation that we'll have later when we sign off.
I don't even know what it's about, y'all. Uh-oh.
So let me ask you guys, what are your thoughts on that about you being accountable for yourself and your partner not being responsible for you and your behaviors? And sometimes we feel responsible in a way that when our spouses do certain things or make certain choices, we get embarrassed. We don't want anybody to know because we think it's a reflection on us. Is it? I'm wondering, is it really a reflection? I'm asking you guys, and just put it in the chat what your thoughts are. Is your spouse's behavior a reflection on you? Do you see it as such? I don't know. What do you think, babe?
I would say no, but unfortunately, because of human nature, you're going to feel that embarrassment. People are going to kind of want to shovel it on you as opposed to saying, well, he is their responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's just the way of the world. Your spouse does something wrong and they wonder what's wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. But we're not really responsible for the choices that our spouses make. And it's not a reflection on us. It's really a reflection on them. And like Frank said, sometimes other people, outsiders, will look at the spouse and say, oh, how she let him do that? How he let her do that? Yes, Dr. Danita said, I'm codependent no more. That's right, Dr. Danita. And thank you for watching, because that is some codependency when our spouse does something and we feel like we have to apologize for it.
Perfect example on a smaller scale. I might be getting dressed to go somewhere. He would say, baby, don't wear that. I said, why not? Listen, I can't let you out the house and people look at you. They be wondering, why you let Frank out the house looking like that? See?
Yeah.
And you be worried about that, but that's on me.
Yeah, but see, that's a different thing because we're out there together.
No, I'm talking about if I'm by myself.
Well, if you're by yourself, that's a different story. I don't mind it as much. But if we're out together, no, baby, you got to be on point, okay? You got to be on point. But if you're going up, but there have been times when he's gotten dressed because the Cookie Man is totally colorblind.
Not totally, but bad enough.
Oh no, you're colorblind. You're colorblind enough that it kept you out of the Air Force.
Well, that's true.
So he's colorblind.
So they said I can't be guiding their planes. No way.
No,
looking at that.
No.
Those blips on the screen. They said no way.
So there have been times when Frank has been getting dressed to go out, and I wasn't gonna go out with him, and I would look at what he's wearing, and I would say, "Babe, are you sure?" You might consider changing that up just a little bit. And when he would ask me why, I said, because you going out, you representing Valerie Renee Mason Chase. You can't be going out here looking all cockeyed. Yeah, that's right, Dr. Nita. Whose definition of on point? Yep. But in this case, more often than not, it's going to be mine because he's colorblind. And, he don't know how to match his colors up too good.
Oh, listen, you know what Will Smith say?
I know,
I make that
look good. You said that was in Men in Black. Yes. So boundaries indicate what?
Well, boundaries indicate where you end and others begin. Boundaries also indicate where your marriage/relationship ends.
And everything on the outside
begins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because boundaries are about inside, what's going on inside, and boundaries are also about what's going on outside. When you think about boundaries in terms of property and property lines, if someone has a fence built around their home, And they do it because they want to protect
their property.
They want to protect what's inside. And we have to think the same way about our relationship when we are talking about boundaries. There's some stuff on the outside that we shouldn't be allowing in, and sometimes it happens, but we can fix that, right, baby cakes?
Eventually.
It might take 40 years. It might take a while, but yes, because like I say, no marriage is beyond redemption, right? Excuse me. And as we said earlier, some people actually resist setting boundaries because they say that their partner should know what to do. Your partner should know what to do. He should know what to do. She should know what to do. They know right from wrong. I don't have to be telling them. Maybe basic stuff we know about right and wrong. But then when it comes to some specific stuff, hey, Miss D, thank you for watching.
And I think also you might resist setting boundaries again because you don't feel like whatever's happening is wrong. You don't recognize it as being a problem. So it's like, okay, someone on small. Well, why I got to tell my friend not to come over at a certain? That's my boy. He can come over anytime he want, or they can call anytime they want. No, if you're living by yourself, okay. Maybe even not when you're living by yourself. You might just want to relax, and someone just showing up willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Even though I still always say there's certain people, depending on the relationship.
Yes.
I could just show up at your door.
Children. No. Let me rephrase that. No, I don't believe that. Because I would never, I have never shown up to any of our children's homes unannounced. No, I don't do that.
Well, okay.
But they are allowed to come here unannounced. I don't care if they come unannounced. That's, those are my babies. I don't care. But because we both are their parents, but they have a partner. And out of respect for their partner, I'm not just going to show up on the door. Okay. Even if they tell me it's okay, even if they say, Mama Chase, it don't matter, you can come over, I'm not going to do it. So, but they're allowed to come here anytime, unannounced, day or night. It don't matter. They got keys. They can come on in anytime. Jackie said that one of her boundaries with friend relationships, Sunday is her day of peace and relaxation, which means no phone calls. She said she holds them to it and hold yourself accountable because if they call, I don't answer. Way to go, sis. Absolutely. Way to go. And you know what? Let's say if you're married, let's say your Sunday is your day, not just to rest, but also to go to church, and your partner doesn't go to church, then that's something you guys got to discuss. That's a boundary. Now, I may stay home with you sometime and watch the Giants, but that ain't going to happen all the time. See, you wouldn't want to be here, right? So that's something that you discuss with your partner. That's my day of worship. You can stay home if you want to, Cinnamon, but I'm going to the house of God. Okay. And another thing to consider about setting boundaries is that setting boundaries can be an indication of good emotional health. And I know Dr. Danita can reiterate that, because if that's kind of reciprocal, if we have poor emotional health, a lot of times we'll have poor boundaries as well.
Okay. But
if you are able to set healthy boundaries, that is an indication that you have some good emotional health. You may have healthy self-esteem, because
I agree.
Poor self-esteem will not allow you to set healthy boundaries. And Dr. Nita said yes.
Yeah, because you'll probably think you're not worth it.
Exactly. If you have a poor sense of self and a poor sense of self-worth, you're going to be reluctant to you're going to be reluctant to set healthy boundaries. So why do we need boundaries in our relationship? We need them for
protection, as we talked about,
respect,
avoid feelings of resentment and taking advantage and or being used.
That's right. And
excuse me, empower you to make healthy choices that you and or your relationship.
That's right. And I just saw somebody commented, "Hey, Finesse, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching." All of those reasons are why we need to have healthy boundaries. And again, boundaries are necessary in all of our relationships, but we are focusing on marriage and committed, intimate relationships and setting boundaries because you need them there. Some people think they don't need them. I have heard people say, "Well, I don't know. Do I really need boundaries? Do me and my partner really need boundaries? I don't know. I personally feel it's healthy to have some sort of understanding of boundaries within your relationship. Otherwise, there's the potential, from my perspective, and this is just me, I think there's a potential for just a free-for-all.
Well, yeah, but as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm saying, how do you really know? I mean, does a person really know,
Mm-hmm.
think they would, what is going to upset them that requires them to set a boundary until, like I said, it happens?
Yeah.
Maybe it happens several times, and all of a sudden you say, you know what?
I don't
like
like
the feeling I'm getting. Maybe I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I can see that happening to people.
Yeah. That can happen within your current relationship,
right.
Or there could be something that you experienced in a previous relationship that let you know, hey, I don't like this. I don't like when my husband goes to Cancun with his boys. I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. Talk about that. I don't know if that means that the husband is going to not go, but at least you express your feelings and your concerns and you have a conversation about it. And if the husband is going to go, or if the wife is going to go, you do what you can to reassure your partner and help them to feel as comfortable and as at ease as they possibly can before you leave,
right,
and while you're there.
Okay, because I was thinking, you never want to find yourself in a position where one or the other one, I'm not saying you don't kind of compromise or acquiesce to what they're saying, but what could happen is if I don't go hanging out with my boys' trip to Cancun or wherever, New Orleans, because you feel in a certain way, there's going to be some resentment.
Absolutely.
There's going to be some anger.
I agree.
Especially if you hang out with your sister friends from time to time.
Yeah.
That's a conversation you have to have. And sometimes, I remember I was going to go to, I forget where I was going. I was doing something. We might not even been together, but you expressed a dislike to me going. And I was like, I'm not going to go anyway. I'm just hanging out with my peoples. No big deal. But then I happened to speak to my oldest son. And he said, Dad, how did he put it? I think essentially, how important is it? Or, next year, where those people going to be? So essentially he asked me what's really important at that moment.
Wow.
So at that point,
that was
Hammy. I made the decision, okay, you know what? It's not that important that if I don't go wherever it was this particular time, to keep the peace, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because you had expressed something that was going to bother you.
If we weren't together, I can only imagine where.
Well, actually, I was living in Woodburn. So we weren't living under the same roof at that time.
We weren't living together.
What? I mean, we were still married, obviously.
We were still married.
But
it was one of those downtimes.
Yeah, because
when we were separated.
When we were separated like that, sometimes you would feel less accountable because
right.
I'm over here, got my place. I'm responsible for me. You're responsible for you. But every now and then, it was still, no matter where I was, it was still that part of me that felt accountable.
Okay.
So since Frank had that conversation, Dad, maybe it's not that important to go.
That's Hammy.
Yep,
I'm
he sure told me.
Way to go, son. Way to go. Keep on having them conversations with your daddy. That's good. I love it. So Nidra, also in her workbook, she talks about different levels of boundaries. She talks about porous boundaries, which she describes as weak, and they are easily violated. And then she talks about rigid boundaries that build a wall, trying to self-protect, but it creates a distance and doesn't allow for vulnerability. Because you can have a boundary that's too weak, but you can also have one that's just too rigid and makes it nearly impossible for your partner
to exist.
To live within the context of that boundary that you're creating. Yeah. So the thing to do is to have healthy boundaries. And healthy boundaries is understanding of yourself, what you need and want, and clearly communicating it to your partner. And that is the part I think that sometimes people miss, because they'll think something, they'll be thinking something within themselves about a boundary, but they don't communicate it to their partner
clearly.
so
either they don't
communicate at all, or they
or
don't communicate clearly.
right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like us, when we communicate, I have an understanding because I hear it in my head,
Right.
and it sounds one way to me.
But that ain't how it's what I said.
Yeah, but when I speak it to you, you hear it a little differently.
Yeah,
So-
because that ain't what I said. And that's why I think it's important. I think it's important when you're having a conversation with your partner to say back what you heard them say, because you'd be surprised at how many times your partner's words can go through a filter of your own experience and your own assumptions and come out on the other side a totally different way. And I see that smirk on the Cookie Man's face. He fixing to say something.
No matter
y'all.
how many times I might have to ask for honey,
Oh my God,
I
here
just
we
need
go.
clarity, baby. Could you repeat it to me?
Yeah.
You're supposed to repeat it, right?
Right. I'm gonna eat the words I just said a few minutes ago, because it happens with us a lot. It happens with us a lot, because I'll say something and Frank will he'll ask me something,
right,
and I'll give him an answer.
Right.
He'll ask it a different way, and I give him the same answer.
All
He'll ask it another way a
all
third
under
time,
the umbrella of
trying to get clarity.
Yes.
Right? It drives me insane. By the time he asks it the fourth or fifth time, I can't handle it anymore. I'm fitting to cuss. I'm fitting to do something because I can't take it. But Miss Finesse says, she's asked a question. What if your spouse continues to negotiate your boundaries and anger? When you say negotiate, do you mean, give me some more information on that. Do you mean your spouse violates your boundaries? Is that what you mean, Miss Finesse? So just let me know what you mean by that.
I think she probably means, like, in the sense, kind of move the goalposts. We discuss something. I'm negotiating. I'm having a conversation. I'm changing it a little bit more.
Okay. Want to change the boundaries.
Next week I'm changing.
Okay. I want to make sure that's what you mean, so I can make sure I'm responding. Oh, neglects your boundaries.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So let me see if I understand this correctly. You have set a specific boundary, and your partner just neglects or totally ignores the boundary. And we're going to talk about that, because a boundary isn't really a boundary if there's no consequence attached to it. Go ahead, baby.
And also, I was thinking, you might think or believe that person, or in this case, he's neglecting it, but does he really understand it? Have you clearly indicated what it is?
Yeah, that's good too, because you do have to be clear. But if you're going to set a boundary with your partner, or with anyone for that matter, there has to be a consequence attached to that boundary being violated. And we're going to talk some more about that in a few minutes. Thank you for that, Ms. Finesse. I want to just go over real quick, because I'm going to try real hard to end at 8 o'clock today. I'm trying real hard. I want to go over what Dr. Cloud describes as the 10 laws of boundaries. Okay. Life with Misty said, cell phones, should it be off limits? Okay. That's a topic me and the Cookie Man know a whole lot about. Because we had a lot of conversations about that. All I'm going to say is this. It depends on you and your partner. How do you feel about having access, and how does your partner feel about having access? Personally, and this is just me. Again, this is just me. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I believe in absolute transparency in a relationship. Now, one or the other may struggle with it, and perhaps that's an ongoing conversation you can have to determine about the cell phone, the Facebook, all the other what do you call it, social media access. That's just me personally. I believe if this is your partner, your spouse, I believe in unfettered access. Go ahead, babe. What do you say?
I agree with that also, but I think there's also a way to approach it. Don't come at me, acting like you're going to take my phone and open it up.
Calm down, baby. Calm down.
Yeah, I felt the rise.
You felt it.
There's a way.
There's a way to do it.
Right. Like everything else. And it's one might look at it as asking permission. Okay, then maybe you are, because that is still my phone.
Correct.
When our pet peeves in the beginning was my wallet.
Yeah.
I mean, for me at that time, I didn't feel you could just arbitrarily go in, and not that you couldn't ask. And I say, go ahead and go in there. But I used to set Valerie up. I was putting little notes in there saying, because she would just go in my wallet. So I think there's a way to approach those issues about your phone, right? Everything else. You have to have the conversation.
You got to.
Like with us, in our case, especially when there's affairs and stuff going on. Of course, I don't want you looking at my phone, and ain't no place else.
Right.
But as you mature and have those conversations, even though Val might pick it up, and every now and then I still get that little twinge. You just went and grabbed my sugar honey iced tea. Me personally, I prefer, not that she has to, but it just makes me feel better. Hey, babe, do you mind if I look in it?
Right.
And go ahead, go
and
pick it
up.
Sometimes
I do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will do that on those rare occasions, because when we first reconciled, I did it a lot. Okay. I did it a lot. But as time has passed and Frank has shown himself to be more trustworthy, I do it less and less and less. I mean, I don't even know the last time I looked at his phone. So that
I do.
You of course you would. Of course you would.
We was in the bed the other day.
When?
And I was looking at something, and all of a sudden
I was looking over your shoulder.
I know, and I was scrolling, and then all of a sudden, here come these words. Oh, what's that? Oh, open that up. Let me see it. I'm like, okay.
I forgot about that.
I'm like, okay.
That did happen last week.
Yeah, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, here it is. But yeah, that would bother me. Or the other thing that would really bother me, the covert look. The phone's somewhere, and not that this has happened, but if I come in the bathroom and there you are in my phone.
Oh, I don't do that.
That would bother me.
I don't do that. But Dr. Danita made a great point. She believes in full transparency with respect.
Okay.
As do I, Dr. Danita. Yeah. I believe in absolute transparency. This business about what mine is mine and his is his and hers is hers. No. If we are one, then we won. Okay? Transparent in every area, because I am a firm believer that if there's anything that we hide, what?
No, because you're saying, how did you just say that? Full transparency.
Yeah.
You don't believe in that. This is mine and this is mine.
Right.
Well, how come the refrigerator got your side on the shelf only? That's your
Because you be drinking out the bottle, and I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
That's why you be contaminating my juice. That's why you have yours on your side and I got mine on my side. Okay. I don't like contamination. Okay. No backwash for Mama Chase. No backwash. No, but seriously though, I do believe in full transparency. That couples, married couples, if you're in a committed relationship, there shouldn't be anything hidden from your partner, whatever it is. That's phone, that's social media, all of that stuff. I believe that each partner should, your financial information, access to banking account, because listen, if you got to be hiding your stuff from your partner, then to me that's red flags all over the place. Those are huge red flags. If you gotta hide your bank account and your spouse don't have access to your bank account, why you look at me like that?
Because I'm wondering why you hide them coin jars around the house.
Because you be going in there. You be going in there. I save those coins, and see, you don't even know. I got paper money in there
I know
now.
you probably got something.
I got paper money in there. That's for the grandbabies.
I don't know where it is.
But
I might need a few dollars that day. Maybe I might need a couple dollars. Go to the newspaper.
Then go up in the safe.
She got money here.
No, then go up in the safe. Not that. That's for the grandbabies. And I had to hide it from him because he would go in there and be taking the money out of that. Look at that. Wait a minute. This is kind of light.
She's the queen of clipping the toes. Used to clip my toes all the time. Money I'll be putting somewhere.
Well, that's because
I know you was mad at me.
No, I was mad. And no. Not only that, you were hiding it. Remember when at your mother's house? When we lived in your mother's house and up in that closet? Yeah. You were hiding money up there, babe.
What's the difference? I'm hiding them coins I don't know about.
No. But see, I have that jar.
Oh, right. You didn't know I had that.
I didn't know you had that. Okay, and I went exploring in the closet one day. This was back in his cheating days, right? I was up in the closet exploring one day, and I came across this jar. I looked inside, and there was all this money. And I said, that's so-and-so.
But see,
I took some, and see, he couldn't say anything to me
right,
about it.
I'd have to know.
He did.
I would notice it seemed kind of light, and there's only two of us in the house.
Yes.
But if I say something, I admit it's there. But I was being responsible. That was my hangout money. And so I was saving that so it didn't come from the house budget.
And then the following week, I went back and I got some more. And I did that until we finally confronted the issue because we had to talk about that.
Oh man.
I want to talk about Dr. Cloud's. How much time we got? 7:42. Okay.
8 minutes.
I want to talk about Dr. Cloud's 10 laws of boundaries. I'm going to go over these real quick, and then we're going to talk about how to create boundaries. Dr. Cloud, no, this is not on the paper, babe. It's on here. And I'm reading from the book.
Got it.
It's this book, Boundaries in Marriage. You probably can't see it.
Can't see with that extra light on there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's Boundaries in Marriage. And it's by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And it says, these are the laws, 10 laws of boundaries. The law of sowing and reaping, which essentially means our actions have consequences. The law of responsibility. We are responsible to each other, but not for each other. The law of power. We have power over some things. We don't have power over other things, and that includes changing our partner. We have no power when it comes to changing our partner. Our partner, if he or she going to make any changes, it's going to be on them making the changes. But as a believer, I got to tell you who do got the power, the Holy Spirit of God. Because I can't tell you how many times I done sicked God on the cookie man, because he may not listen to me. He may not be influenced by me and what I say, but I believe in the absolute power, the absolute transformative power, and the influential power of the Holy Spirit of God. So there's the power, the law of respect. If we wish for others to respect our boundaries, we need to respect theirs. The law of motivation. We must be free to say no before we can wholeheartedly say yes. And I'm going to say that again. We must be free to say no before we can wholeheartedly say yes. I love that particular law. Because if you are saying yes, if I say yes to you under duress, if I say yes to you grudgingly, if I say yes to you when I really don't want to do it because I'm afraid to say no, I haven't wholeheartedly said yes. I need to be free to say no.
I get that.
I need to be free to say no without any fear, without any reservations, without any concerns, because my no is my no. Right. But if I'm scared and I say yes because I'm scared, then I have not wholeheartedly said yes.
Right. Because in that case, you're saying yes to something. Let's say I ask you to go somewhere with me. You're saying yeah, but you really want to say no. Yeah. Now we go, and the event's stressful for the both of us because you're acting out. You got this nasty look in your face.
Oh, I don't do that.
Because you don't want to be there.
I don't be doing that.
I feel it. I feel it, though.
I know you feel it. You feel it.
But I get that. Yeah. I can understand it. You have to
and think about it. Think about the times when, excuse me, either a friend or a relative, or a coworker for that matter, has asked you to do something you didn't really want to do. You said yes, you did it anyway, and you complained about it later, and you were resentful later on. You were not free to say no, so you didn't wholeheartedly say yes. Now, that's the time Dr. Danita says, so your yes is dishonest if you really mean no. Absolutely, Dr. Danita. Absolutely. The yes is dishonest. You have to be free to say no. And within the context of a marriage, you want to feel comfortable in saying no to your partner. And that's something that you struggled with, Cookie Man, because there were a lot of times when Cookie Man would say to me, Val, I don't feel like I can say no to you. And I would say to him, yeah, you can say no. You may not like my response to your no, but that doesn't mean you cannot say no. I'd rather you say no and I say, oh man, I really blah, 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 blah. And rather than you saying yes when you don't really want to say yes, because you're being dishonest, like Dr. Danita just said.
And you're right. I struggled with that a lot because I might not wanted to do something, or I just said yes. Or if I said no, how did it go? I would say yes, not wanting to do it. Or I felt if I said no, there go the face, and you get angry, you get upset,
be upset,
and then I would feel guilty for saying what I felt was a true answer to no. Yeah, and now you got the look on the face, and I go stomping around the house. All right, oh, what the heck? I'll do it. But I'm still being disingenuous. Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is to allow me to have my response to whatever you say no to, or yes to, for that matter, and vice versa. I allow you to have your response. We may not like each other's responses, but each of us, we are entitled to respond however we choose to respond, because that is how we are really feeling in that moment. Okay. So if you say no and I don't like it, hey, tough titty, Val. He said no, he didn't want to do it. I may not like it, but too bad. So sad.
No matter how many times I say no, right? It shouldn't come up.
Now listen, just don't go willy-nilly saying no to me now.
Got it, okay.
Because then we're gonna have another problem.
Another conversation.
Okay. Talk about these here laws. The law of evaluation. We need to evaluate the pain our boundaries cause others. That's good. That's good. And that gets back to having those rigid boundaries. Who was that from? Okay. That gets back to having those rigid boundaries. You don't want to have boundaries that are so rigid that it causes extreme pain and discomfort for your partner. The law of proactivity. We take action to solve problems based on our values, our wants, and our needs. So you got to be proactive in solving your issues. The law of envy. We will never get what we want if we focus outside of our boundaries onto what others have. So important. Look at your own self. Mind your own business. Take care of your own stuff, your own marriage, your own property, right? Your own husband, your own wife. The law of activity. We need to take the initiative in setting limits rather than be passive. Got to take the initiative in setting limits. The law of exposure. We need to communicate our boundaries to each other. We have to do that because your partner cannot honor a boundary that you have not expressed. So you need to be open and honest about that. So when it comes to how we set boundaries, we have to understand, like we said earlier, poor boundaries is usually a reflection of low self-esteem and vice versa. And something has to be done to address the issue of low self-esteem in order to get better at setting boundaries with whomever, your partner, your friend, your coworker, your boss, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whomever, all types of relationships. So once the self-esteem is addressed and corrected in some way, then you can start setting the boundaries. Okay. So first, what you got to do when you want to set a boundary? First, you have to know what you want, know what you need, know what you will and will not tolerate, know what behaviors are acceptable and not acceptable. And this sometimes is the hardest part for some people because they lack insight and self-awareness, and they're not really sure what it is that they want or what they need.
Or what they accept. Yeah, because I was wondering about that. Sometimes you might not know how much of something you won't accept. You might accept it. I don't know. I'm not sure how to phrase that. After something happens a few times, because like before, sometimes I don't speak on things until they happen 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah,
and that's not healthy. Because now at this point, I'm speaking from a place of maybe
anger. Yeah, and resentment. Yeah. Hey, Miss Ali, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for watching. I think at the very least, the second time something happens to speak on it. If it's really egregious, then the first time. If it's not, maybe so much, and maybe you need to evaluate yourself and ask yourself the question, why does this bother me?
Okay.
And depending upon how you answer yourself, how you answer that question, why does this bother me? Then perhaps it's something you need to speak on, or after having that conversation with yourself, you determine that it's not really something that you need to set a boundary for. Perhaps it's a personal insecurity of your own, and that you need to deal with on that level. And what? Yeah, you on the wrong page, baby.
Am I?
Yeah.
Why don't you get over there?
Yeah, because I didn't have us do that. Because I want to finish by. Okay. I want to finish on time today because I have a bad.
Taking control.
I'm helping you out.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm helping you out.
Got it. Okay.
So, also when it comes to boundaries, my scarf coming loose. That's what do you call that moment when a wardrobe kerfuffle or something? Wardrobe malfunction. Yeah. It's a good thing it didn't fall all the way off.
You just do like this. Oh, wow.
Good thing it didn't fall all the way off, but that has happened. All right. What else, baby?
So you have to decide the consequences for violating the boundary.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything big. Let's say hypothetically you're married to someone who has a habit of when you start a conversation, just yell and scream, or maybe call you out your name or something. And the boundary could be, listen, babe, I don't like when you speak to me that way. And I won't allow that. I will not allow you to speak to me that way. And if you do that again, I'm just going to end the conversation and I'm leaving the room. That's the consequence. You're ending the conversation. If you're married to someone who, let's say, has a history of some type of substance abuse or some other addiction, could be gambling or could be whatever, and you confront them with it and you tell them that is not acceptable in behavior within the context of your marriage, your relationship, whatever. And you may say to them, if this doesn't happen, then maybe we need to part ways for a little while so that you can work on this issue, whatever it is. That absolutely is the only time I ever even suggest that a couple may do a therapeutic separation, which I learned about from Dr. Danita, when there is abuse or when there's substance issues, so that the couple can work individually on themselves, and the one who has the substance issue can address that. So that could be that's a consequence. What do you say?
I was thinking, well, that's a harsh consequence, but I can understand why it needs to be done. And hopefully the person that has the issue, substance abuse or whatever it is, I mean, usually when they separate like that, they probably fall further and further into depth. So now they don't have that person to lean on or something.
Yeah, they might. But think about this. If they're going to fall down into that hole, they're going to fall down into that hole by themselves and not take their spouse and their children with them.
Well, yeah.
And that alone could be a reason to do a therapeutic separation so that you can salvage the family and the wife can salvage herself and her self-identity and her self-worth and all that. So also, how do you do this thing with boundaries when you're setting a boundary. You have to have a conversation with your partner, and we said that. Clearly state the boundary and the consequences. That's right, Dr. Nita. It's not the spouse's responsibility if they fall. That's true. That is so true. Because like Frank said, that very well could happen. And it might. And sometimes that's the best thing for a person. And when you look at it, it may not have happened while they were together because it was a codependent relationship.
Right, okay.
And the sober spouse was enabling the spouse with the substance abuse problem. So when they take that separation, yes, it very well could happen, because in the absence of that codependent relationship, the one with the substance problem could very well take that fall, but prayerfully and hopefully they won't stay down once they get down. And when they are out there, they'll have that come to Jesus moment and will seriously consider making a different choice for themselves.
Okay, I can agree.
So yeah, talk to your partner, have the conversation, state clearly the boundary and the consequence, and also consider what's flexible for you, what's negotiable, what's non-negotiable. Because we could start out having a conversation and I could articulate a particular boundary, and depending upon our exchange, I may say, well, you know what, maybe that's a little, I can be flexible with that.
You need to be flexible. Yeah.
That's not a non-negotiable boundary. So we don't have to do that. Follow through. If your partner crosses your boundaries, you got to do what you said you were going to do. Otherwise, they're going to keep violating the boundary. You know, and that's not just with spouses, that's with any relationship. Because trust and believe, once a boundary is set, it will be tested. It will be tested. So make absolutely sure about this boundary and the consequence and your ability to follow through with the consequence before you even open your mouth. I think it's worse to do that than it is to not state the boundary in the first beginning. What do you think, babe?
You have to. Just like anything else. I'm going to describe boundaries as like rules, so to speak. And every rule gets tested. It's all human nature, especially if it's something that's preventing you from doing the things that you thought you wanted to do. You're going to test it.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to be like that little kid that they're going to test something. I see how far I can go. Okay, then you have to don't mistake the absence of crisis in your management and your marriage as it being a healthy relationship.
Yes. Because some people think because they're not in crisis that everything is hunky-dory.
Okay.
Because there could be one partner who is suffering in silence and not saying anything. And that's not healthy either. You don't want to suffer in silence. You want to say something to your partner. Go ahead, baby. You want to say something?
No, I was thinking that what you just said, I think is going to be noticeable. What?
No, you go ahead, baby.
No. When you said the crisis thing, if you're suffering in silence, it's going to manifest itself some kind of way.
It may, but the degree to which your partner cares, the degree to which your partner really is looking at you and taking note of any change in your demeanor, you could continue to suffer in silence for a long time.
Sure, and especially if you are, and I notice a change, and maybe I ask you, hey, is something wrong? Something you want to talk about? And you say no.
And then what do?
Might say, okay, well, I mean, I might ask again.
Okay. And how might you ask? What might you say to your partner?
Well, baby, I'm concerned. You look a little, you're sitting quiet. You used to talk a mile a minute. You're not reading your books. Honey, something's wrong. Is this something you want to talk about?
There you go.
And then hopefully you don't say, well, yeah, it's because of you. No, but you
I get what you mean.
You want to, in that case, do your best to
Mhm.
bring it out. Don't just
Yes,
take the no
yeah.
as like, oh, everything's done. She said no. I gave her
Yeah.
opportunity or him an opportunity to speak. So
Mhm.
and move and go on about your business.
Because the more care and concern that you show will let your partner know that he or she is creating a safe space for them to be able to share that with you. And I know it's already 8 o'clock. Okay. I want to point out what Miss Lenora said. She said you have to periodically reflect on your boundaries and assess whether they continue to align with your needs and values. That is a great, great point, Miss Lenora. You are absolutely right. Because just because I created a boundary 5 years ago or 10 years ago doesn't mean I still need to have that same boundary now. Or now, 10 years later, maybe there's a new boundary that we need to have a conversation about. I wanted to say this. Thank you for that, Miss Lenora. That was a great point. When it comes to marriage, it has to be actively protected. Set clear boundaries before it implodes from outside influence. Remember the fence around the house. You're protecting what's inside that house, inside that fence. You have it because what's in there is valuable, and you want to protect it. And that goes for our marriage. And the final word I'll give to Miss Nidra. She says that boundaries are assertive steps that you take verbally and behaviorally to create a peaceful life. And I'm going to add a peaceful relationship. Boundaries are not a bad thing. They are not the enemy. They can, as Sister Nidra said, have the potential to create some peace in your relationship, because now you are clear for the personal boundaries you set for yourself, what you will and what you won't do. You're clear on the conversations we have had in terms of boundaries for our relationship. I'm clear on the boundaries I have set for myself in terms of what I will do and what I won't do, out of respect for and in the protection of our relationship. So I did good. It was 8:03. I'm only 3 minutes over.
All right. Okay.
So I want to thank you all for watching. Hey, Victoria said how to effectively set a boundary about a certain sensitive subject that will bring up negative feelings. Oh, yeah, she said little lady said her YouTube is acting up on her computer. Right. Okay. To set a boundary that may bring up certain negative feelings. Well, that doesn't mean that you don't set the boundary. That means that you have to be very intentional and careful in your approach to your partner, especially depending upon what those negative feelings are. You know your partner, you know what he or she cannot handle, and consider the timing. With any conversation, you got to consider tone, timing, and temperature. So consider the timing, when might be the best time to sit down and have this conversation with your partner, Miss Victoria. Already have in mind what you're going to say. Don't enter the conversation and just talk off the cuff. Is that how that phrase? Don't talk off the cuff. Structure it as best as you possibly can. Sometimes I will suggest having a little note card. You don't have to write out a whole sentence, just a word, a bullet point to keep you on point and to keep the conversation where you would like for it to go. But even though it may bring up negative feelings, it doesn't mean you don't have the conversation. It just means that you have to be very, very careful. There's something that the Gottmans, and I love Gottman therapy, they talk about the gentle startup. Okay, so you have to be gentle in your approach. You state how you feel and then express a positive need. Okay, a positive need. Not, you don't say, well, I don't like it when you do so and so. Babe, I feel lonely when you go out every Saturday night with your friends. And what I really need from you, what I would really like, is if you would spend at least a couple of weekends home with me and the kids. That's expressing a positive need. You're not saying what you don't want, but you say what you do want, and you indicate how you are feeling. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Danita. Thank you, Miss Ali. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everybody who's watching. Lenora, Miss Ali. I appreciate you guys so very much. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And again, you can also find us on Instagram, Marriage Beyond the Breach. You can find us on Instagram, Marriage Beyond the Breach, and on Facebook. We'll be back next week where we're going to be talking about, this is the question, because there seems to be a lot of conversation about this.
Okay.
Should a man who's dating a woman, not living with her, not married to her, should he pay her bills?
On a regular?
Well, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.